In terms of construction, I learned to use the Blackmagic 4K and understood how to manipulate the ISO and white balance settings in order to adapt the camera to the weather and the amount of light that is showed on the cameras. I also learned from 4K that if zebras appear, there is too much light exposure in the shot. This became particularly helpful when we were filming on Hampstead Heath, as it was a particularly sunny day. And because I knew these methods, I was able to capture some really beautiful shots in the sun without compromising any of the picture, which I deemed was really helpful, making sure the grade of our film looked realistic and unique. I also, in terms of construction, was introduced to Photoshop, which really aided us in creating an immersive, intriguing promotional package, which would hopefully draw the eye of viewers and intrigue them into viewing our film. I learned how to use the scan tool, which enabled us to draw a front cover for our article, which would entice viewers and give it that personal feel, as if the picture was sketched by our own fictional character. I also learned how to use different lenses and which lenses you should use for each different shot. For example, if we were to film a dialogue scene or a close-up scene, we would use the 35mm lens, which most filmmakers use to film their dialogue scene in order for the characters to fit in the frame precisely. I also learned that in Final Cut Pro how to grade a specific part of the frame and not the whole thing, which would aid us in case I missed the zebras on the screen when we were filming and help us grade certain parts of the frame if they were not up to our standard. In terms of research, one of the most useful website tools we incorporated was SurveyMonkey in order to gain a wider idea of what percentage of our audience demographic agrees with our film ideas, and if not, how could they be improved. For example, we were going to call our film Tom. However, in the poll, 60% of the participants thought Ellipsis would be a more suitable title. So, after much deliberation, we concluded Ellipsis would be the sole name of our film. The participants also backed up our opinion of our film, which will be a mixture of narration as well as cinematography, with 70% of the vote. We also used the website Reddit in order to discover and find out how people with the actual brain hemorrhage condition deal with their illness and what their perception of living life with it is like. We found out harrowing facts about how they slowly lose their memory and they often have irregular fits in which they pass out on the floor. This website and these miserable and quite, empathetic accounts really helped us base our main character Eli, and we were really able to sort of emulate the symptoms of this illness realistically without making it too heightened in the way in which it kind of is out there. It's a very realistic portrayal. In terms of planning, we used social media apps such as WhatsApp as well as Facebook in order to communicate with our fellow group members, in order to communicate to each other when we were needed to film as an ensemble, so we'd be able to instantly tell each other when we needed to film in, where we needed to go, so it was quite organised and helped us really organise a good little rendezvous. And it also was used to sort of communicate to other group members who had the filming kit, where and when we need to meet them in order to pick up the camera and the rest of the equipment for them.
Any goals, Liv?
In terms of evaluation, the main tools I used were SoundCloud as well as Wix in order to display my evaluation in a creative and engaging way. SoundCloud I used as media tool in order to express my points more fluidly and more clearly than if I was evaluating via text. It also allowed me more freedom and flexibility, and I deem it allowed me to say much more rather than if I was writing up my evaluation. Using Wix for my evaluation was incredibly more easier than any other tool, as I'm able to present my work in a way which is much more creative and eye-catching, rather than me just writing and evaluating as an essay, as it might not be as engaging. I was also able to implement other apps such as SoundCloud and YouTube as well in order to give viewers a much more visual presentation and explanation of my evaluative work. It also once again allows the viewers to be more engaged in my work rather than just relying on my text.